making this a really cool dice tray. Now it's a tray that you can use for trinkets too, but it's so cool when you put a dragon in the middle of it. So I'm going to show you how this works. We're going to be putting in some little snaps here, like so, and it can be stored flat like this. Is it upside down? There you go, it's upside down. You can be stored flat like this, or you can snap it up and to make that cool dice tray or a key holder or whatever you want. But since it's the gamer series, today it's a dice mat. We have some D&D players in my husband's friend group, and so I know a couple of guys that are looking forward to getting their really cool dragon dice mats. Okay, let's hop right into it. First, we need some dimensions. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab your, see if I can grab this over here, your 8x8 square ruler. We have these really cool ones that are Quilter Select, and you're going to want to cut 2 of these out of your pleather right here. Now we got some really amazing stuff that has like the felted or fleecy back on it, so it's nice and thick. This makes for a really cool dice tray. Doesn't need much support behind it. I have some other examples here. I have this pleather as well. It's pink. I made a pink dragon on here. And I also used what we have in the stores. It's called splash fabric, and it's laminated cotton. On this side it's cotton, and on this side it's laminated, so it's waterproof. And I figured I would experiment with that. If you want to make something more than just a dice tray, you totally can. This was just a cute little sunflower design inside the machine right here on the baby lock Vesta that I was using to make all these really cool embroidery experiments with. Okay, so now that you've cut out 2 of these with your 8-inch square ruler, you've got some beautiful squares, and then you're going to put it into your mat. Oops, as I knock things over here. Okay, so I've got my hoop, my embroidery hoop here. I think it's a 6x11, something along those lines. And this is just your regular tearaway. There's no fusible, nothing. It's just straight up mid-weight tearaway right here. And with the Vesta, the baby lock Vesta, it came with this little template, and it has little holes in it, and it clicks right into, fits perfectly inside my hoop, just like this. We got to hoop our pleather because pleather is a little bit different to embroider on, because you don't want to put it in the frame itself. And with this, oh, I took the cap off, but I didn't get the pen. Okay, so I have this template in here, and you can see that it's a little bit off from the markings that are on here, and that's super important. And so what I did is I took my friction pen and I just did little X's or little crosses on all these outer areas right here, right onto my stabilizer. Okay, and now you can see I've got my markings inside of there, so I know exactly where to place my pleather here. So I've got my pleather as well. I'm just going to simply fold it in half on this end. I'm going to take my marking pen, my friction pen. The reason why I'm using a friction pen is because it disappears when you put a little bit of heat. You don't even have to touch the iron to it. You can just kind of hover over the top and it just disappears. Or leave it in your car on a hot day and it will disappear as well. So just beware. Okay, so I've made the marking here and here. And what's cool is the template just happened to have, it was like almost 8 inches exactly. So all I did was I took my middle marking here on my pleather and I matched it up here. And then I made sure that this bottom one down here was matched up too. It's matched there and there. And then I can see my little markings down here. and I can see my little markings up there, and voila, I have placed it, I've centered it perfectly where the embroidery is going to go into it. Awesome. You can see it is a little off inside my hoop, but because I had that template, it showed me exactly where to put it, so it will go in the center of my pleather. Okay, so this other thing, you're probably wondering, what on earth is this little pile of things here? These are SewTites magnets, and we are going to embroider this with SewTites magnets. Notice I didn't put any sticky back here. We have no tape. We are merely going to use these SewTites magnets. And I did all of my embroidery with SewTites magnets. And these were their other name is magnetic pins, and I love how these just lock your pleather or whatever you're working on, because I use this with the splash fabric too. It just locks it in place. Did you hear that? It clicks it, and we're just, oops, gotta put those on there, right? The one thing that you want to keep in mind with the magnets is that they are on the fabric on the outside, so you want to make sure that where you're embroidering isn't going to interfere with where you're embroidering. Okay, and I'm just sticking these all around the edges. They are so great. They stick right to each other. You'll never lose them, except if you do lose them, check the legs of your table, because they do like to stick to the legs of your table in weird places like that. I have magnetic glasses, and sometimes they stick to my glasses. Super fun. Okay, now the difference between this guy right here, this dark blue one, and these light blue ones, these are just the original strength, and these dark blue ones are heavy duty for things that if you do like towels and things like that, but it works fantastic with this. Okay, so we have it in there. Look at that. I didn't use any tape. I didn't use sticky back, nothing but these magnets in there. And then I just put it in the machine, and it embroidered it out perfectly. I love how it locks your fabric in place, and it's not going anywhere with those magnets in there. And so many people ask me, does it interfere with my machine? And I say no. And voila, just like that, we printed it out, or we embroidered it out. So I have this dragon on here, and we just rip off that tearaway right behind it, and it is good to go to move on to our next step of preparing this for the dice tray. This is like the most satisfying part of embroidery, I think, when it's all done, and ripping off that. I do keep these extra pieces. I trim it across the top, and then I sew it onto the edges, so I am always recycling. So you can keep that in mind too. Okay, so once it looks like this, we're going to move on to the next part, which is some fusible interfacing. I'm going to set that guy aside, and I'm going to set this guy aside, like so. Okay, now I do have two different ones here. I have the splash fabric, which is thinner. It's like that laminated cotton right here, and then this is the pleather. You can see the difference between them, right? Okay, so we need fusible interfacing, and I have the measurements right here, what they need to be. I use my SewTites to keep these all together. Actually, I'm going to flip this over so you can see it a lot better. There we go. So we need a square of fusible interfacing that is a scant 5 3/4. So I cut them out. I cut these squares out 5 3/4, and then I just took my ruler like so. Oh, that's upside down. I took my ruler like so, and I just took off ever so much hair off of each side on this side, and then I did the same thing, just a little bit off of each side, and that creates a little stitching channel all around, because we're going to be stitching around this square, but we don't necessarily want to stitch on this right there. And then we need to cut out 4 1 2 3 4 1 inch by 4.5 inch rectangles as well. So that's what we need for interfacing. And when you get all of those cut out, let's see which one is going to look where you can see it better. Probably this one. You can probably see this a lot better. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do, actually I'm going to go back to our dragon here. Our dragon really quickly. And because you can't see it on here very well, I'm going to show you what I did to get this square perfectly in the middle. And what I did, I had a longer ruler. Hold on just a second. I'm going to grab a longer ruler right over here in my trusty handy dandy cupboard. All right, so what I did is I went from corner to corner like this, and with my pen I made a mark from this, just kind of out from the corner like so, and you can't see that. Okay, you're gonna work. It has, oh, it has stage fright. Let's see if this marker will work where you can see it a little bit. Oh yes, there we go. This one's working much better. So you can see corner to corner and corner to corner like so. Yes, you can see that so much better. Okay, so this is an easy way to find how to center your fusible in there. So what you want to do is make sure all 4 corners are evenly spaced, and if they're not 100% perfect, it's okay. All right, and just like that, I centered my square. Easy peasy. And then what I do with these guys is I put them all the way out to the edge there, and make sure that the shiny side is down. I'm going to trim some of these threads down here because I definitely don't want those showing. Give that a little trim there because I just ripped that off. Okay, there we go. Sticky side is facing down, and that's shiny. It's going to feel a little smoother than the other ones, and I'm just centering this in the very center there, making sure that it's even in the middle. You want these little open spaces because this is where we're going to be putting the snaps. And we're going to put that right up to the edge there. Those are all up to the edge. Very nice. Okay, now one other tool that you want to have with using vinyl, having your makerspace, is a memento iron. It is so fantastic. I can't tell you how many times I end up using this to press large square things. I'm so grateful to have this, and this is the memento right here. You can see it's just a big square iron, and I am just going to set this right over the top. Like that. I've got that set up for 30 seconds, and I'm going to press down lightly onto it. And when you press down lightly onto it, you are helping the glue to seep down into the fibers of your fabrics and whatever you're working on, so it's going to stay a little bit better. We have 11 seconds left on here. We probably don't need to hold it for that much longer, but we will, just because we set it for 30 seconds. Okay, I love this because when you use a regular iron, yes, thank you, I hear you. When you use a regular iron, especially with vinyl, and you try to press down on it, you will get the image of your iron in your vinyl, which is not cool. And so I love having that big flat square iron surface, so it does all of it all at one time, and it comes out beautiful. Okay, there you go. You have all of those pieces on there. And then the next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get your backing on there. I've got the backing on these guys. Okay, so personal experience, this really lovely thick pleather that has like fabric on the back of it does not fuse together. They wanted you to do some webbing and do webbing together with that, and I tried and I almost ruined the pleather on one of them because I I had it on there for so long to see if it would melt through, and it did its job, and it did not let that heat through. So what I did instead is I used one of my favorites, by Annie's double-sided tape. It is permanent tape, and it is so sticky. So if you go overhead really quickly, I will show you where I put it. It's kind of hard to see, but I put it all along the outer edge here. And then inside, where I have that smaller 5 by 3/4 scant of a square right here, I also added the tape in around the edge. And guess what? It worked fantastic! Yay! So you just go around the edges like so. I'm just going to tear that off all around. I can use a bigger width of the by Annie's tape, but because we have to sew kind of really close to these edges, I opted for the skinny 1/8 of an inch tape. Because I do not love sewing over the top of the by Annie's tape. It gums up my needles. So that's why I use the 1/8 of an inch. And then we are going to place this and do our best to put that on evenly. Ooh, it's sticking to me. This is fantastic tape. Okay, I'm gonna move that just a little bit, and if it doesn't match up 100%, it's okay, because we can go back with our ruler and go over. Oh, here it is. I'm going to just press all around those edges, right, like so, and squeeze that by Annie tape in really tight. And then I'm going to take my square up ruler and, sorry, I don't want my head to get in the way. I'm going to see if I can see it on that side. And I'm just going to square it up along the sides. And when you embroider, it does kind of shrink in your vinyl a little bit more. So it will be, more times than not, you will have to square it up. Maybe a little bit more on this side. It's all good. Now, if you want to, you can also stitch along the edge of this as well. If you don't feel like tape is going to be the end-all awesomeness to keep those edges together, you can do some sort of fun edge stitch. They've got tons on your machine. You've got the special foot. That foot that has a little wire right through the center of it is for the edge stitching. Okay, that is looking fantastic. Look at that. Oh, we're halfway there. Okay, the next thing we need to do is make some marks on here. I'm going to flip it onto the back side here. And I know we need to make markings so we can stitch down the sides so it will, our tray will bend where we want it to bend. Okay, we're going to squish that in there. And I may go over these edges just a little bit more, because even with that by Annie's tape, it does not want to stick very well. Okay, so I will go back through later. Now we do know that our interfacing, I'm going to bring this back here. We do know our interfacing is exactly 1 inch. And then they have this little space, and it's kind of in between 1 and 1/8 marking on your ruler. So with that in mind, I can go over to my machine and see where that's going to fall. And, well, I mean, I can do that, but I'm going to take my friction marker, and I'm going to mark the back. I'm not going to mark the front. I'm going to mark the back here. And I am going to kind of line this up on my grid right here. And I know it was just a little bit more than that 1/8 or that 1 inch itself. So I'm going to make a little mark down this way, right like that. And I'm just going to do that all the way around. And this friction marker does erase with the heat when you hover it over the top of this vinyl. So you don't have to worry about smushing your vinyl. Okay, I'm going to mark that. I'm not going to do all of them. I'm just going to show you the basic gist. So you can see that my corners are crisscrossing here. The original directions didn't say to do that, but I like it and I will show you why. I'm going to do that. Oh, before we move on, I wanted to show you really quickly that if you have really thick vinyl, you can use the By Annie's tape to put your, ooh, it's sticking to me, your two pieces together. But let's say it's not as thick. I'm going to put this over back onto my ironing. Let's say you did use your splash fabric here. I have some fusible web, which is basically just sheer glue that will melt. So I've got my 8-inch square of glue. That little side wants to curl right there for some reason. Okay, and then what you want to do, that's not it. Actually, well, yeah, we'll just do that. You can either, I have this web that doesn't have paper backing on it, and then I do have this web that does have paper backing. So you can do it either way. Iron on the paper, take it off, and then put your other side on. But in this case, since it doesn't have paper, I'm just going to put the two sides together like so. I'm going to line that up because I don't want glue on my iron or my ironing wool mat here. I'm going to line those up as best as I can. Right there. I am going to put down, I think if I do it this way, it won't unroll. There we go. This is a pressing sheet where if any of the glue comes out, it will just, when it cools, peel right off of there. And I have another sheet that I'm going to put over the top of here as well, sort of. It'll cover most of it. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to take my memento and place that right over the top. Ooh, that's lighting. Right like that. And while that is doing its thing, we're gonna go over to the machine here. I'm gonna move over last week's funness over there. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be just stitching right along that line straight down there and right across this line straight down there. And then you will continue to do the same thing throughout the rest, but just for the sake of just showing you what I'm doing that. I really love to do a jean top stitch where it's like a double stitch where it stitches 2 forward and 1 back, 2 forward, 1 back, so you have double stitches going down. It makes a really amazing thick top stitch, but for the sake of time I'm just going to do a single stitch. And what you want to keep in mind with pleather, you want your stitches really long, like 4.5. It sounds really wide, really long, but with pleather, your stitches kind of sink into the pleather and they disappear. So you want them longer because they turn out to look more of a normal stitch length when it's 4.5. Okay, I'm going to turn it on and we're going to do the length. At 4.5. Lift my foot. Hold on. You know, it really helps if your foot is attached to your machine. Hold on there, guys. Technical difficulties. Okay, hold on. It's not quite attached there. I don't know why my foot isn't attached. It was attached a minute ago. Okay. I hope that my finger width is good enough for that. All right. And I have to figure out how to change that length here. When you don't use your own machine, haha, I found it. Okay, 5, 4.5. Okay, we're gonna use 4.5. And if you notice that your machine is kind of sticking, your pleather is sticking, you can use one of the silicone, or not silicone, what am I thinking? Not silicone, what is it? Teflon foot. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Teflon foot. Okay, we're gonna get it started and do a little back stitch right there. And go right down. All the way to the end, give it a little back stitch, a little forward, cut it. Okay, so we got that one. And then we're gonna go down this other side so you can get an idea of what it should look like. Go back. And stitcheroo down there as well. And a little bit forward. And give it a cut. I love it when the machine has an automatic cutter. Okay, so we're gonna come back over here. We're gonna move this guy over and we'll look at that in a second. Don't forget to clip all of your little ends, your tails from your stitching, because that makes your piece look finished and professional. Okay. I don't know if you can see this over the top, but you can, I use that 4.5-inch stitch and it looks great. Well, you can see it doesn't punch down into there, and with vinyl, once you make a hole, it is there almost forever. You can go over it with an iron and try and close up the hole as much as you can. Okay, so now imagine that those other things are done, because we are going to add some finger snaps in. We've got these really fun ones in the store. These are by Annie. They have silver on them, which are really cool. All right. We're gonna pour out some of these guys right here. I'm just gonna showcase one because they're all the same. After that, all right, the reason why I stitched all the way there is because that's where I'm going to put my, my snap. So I'm just going to eyeball the very center of where I feel that is, right over the stitching, right like that. And I'm just going to eyeball the center here as well. This is a fun project. It's like a weekend thing. Okay, so I'm going to get a shiny side, and it's got this little thing that sticks up in the middle that fits perfectly into the hole. Oh, and by the way, I am using the OESD Perfect Punch set. This is definitely a tool that you want to have in your creator space. I use it for so many things. And the end opens up here and it's got different sizes in there. Oh, look, I used it for my last project. It still has stuff in it. I'm using the smallest hole right now. It fits perfectly in there. All right. Now we got to find the fronts and the backs. All right, so I've got a male and a female part here. Now if you flip them over, there's like an ugly side that kind of looks like a spokes wheel, and then the pretty side that has writing on it and things. And you know you're on the right side when it's got writing, and it won't go in if you try to use it the other way. So what I do is I just take my thumbs on either side of the other snap, the top snap piece, and I just push them in, and you can hear it click and pop, and ta-da, it is in. And then there's a black one, so there's a silver and a black side. I'm going to cover up the back and stick that one through, and then I'm going to take the female part And this one hurts if you put your thumb directly on it. So definitely put your thumbs on the side, right like that. And I just use my little OESD mat and punch it in there. Okay, come on. Sometimes they want to work better than others. Use my He-Man force, right? Okay, so if that isn't working, or your nails are in the way, and you have a little spool like this with an end on it, you can actually stick it over the top like that and then push it in. So that's a hack too. So, okay, and voila, ta-da! Oh, you can see that my edge, my fusible interfacing didn't stick. The bianni stuck great to the fusible, but the fusible didn't stick to my pleather very well. So what you can do here in this case, if you don't want to stitch the edges, you can put a little bit of glue in there and then lay it flat and put something like a book or something on top of it. Or you can actually take your iron and just gently put some of the sheets over the top of it and then put the iron, and it will dry your glue really fast if you are in a pinch and need to do that fast. So anyway, that's good to know that it didn't stick very well. This pleather is a little finicky to work with, but it looks amazing when it is done. Okay, so like I said, you're just going to repeat that all the way around for all 4 corners, just like so. And you have your finished product right there. And all 4 corners look just like that. You can put those on. The finger snaps. I love these finger snaps. It requires no extra tools except maybe a spool of thread if you can't get it to go very well. And if you're doing lots, it gets kind of tricky on your fingers a little bit. So let's check on that. Well, it looks like we needed to hold it just a little bit longer, and maybe it started to stick, but I didn't press on it. Yes. Can you use this technique for any type of design, right? Like for working on pleather, do you have a little bit more specific, like using the SewTites? You can use it for any technique. Any embroidery that you're using, absolutely you can use those SewTites. You can use, I'm not really sure what technique they were talking about. But yes, you can use all of these things for any other projects that you're working on as well. So yeah, I need to iron this just a little bit more. I need to press down on it. I just set the iron on top of it, and so it didn't really press the glue down into it, but I'll press it down. And then I'll make this into a cute little trinket tray for probably my daughter, because she's super into the sunflowers right now. Well, thank you for joining me today for session 2 of the Gamer series. We have the mat, the dice tray, and join me next week, because next week we are going to be making a card holder out of old CDs and DVDs. And let me tell you, I was so excited to clean out my old DVD pile. They are now going to be gone, and they're going to be recycled into something that we will actually use. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week.